Good afternoon, good morning, and good night, everybody. Welcome to the Many Worlds AMA, and it is awesome to have you guys. I little tidbit is I was listening in on the dev call earlier, and it was so exciting to hear about all of the work these guys are putting in, and I can't wait to hear some of the things that Human's going to be sharing with us today. My name is Matt DeFox. For any of you guys who don't know, I've been a little quiet over the past couple of days, but I am still around and I'm still here while all of the building is going on with respect to the project. Alongside with us, we have our one and only Human, who's going to be chatting with us about the project and everything going on, and maybe a little bit about his trip while he was traveling. I know he got some well-deserved R&R. With that, I guess we'll go ahead and open it up. I do have some updates that I want to chat about, more specifically on what we were talking about, the comic book area, and some ideas I have floating around with there. So I really need the community's input on it and how we can make our first edition of I guess, a fan-made comic strip a reality. So can't wait to talk to you guys about that. Human, how's it going?
Oh, it is going well. Incredibly busy in the dev cave. And I know that doesn't mean much because we're doing a whole lot of back end work. So I'll start with the first release that's happening on Thursday. That's going to be the distributor V2. And I know for you guys, that probably doesn't mean much of anything, right? It's a distributor. What really is that? But for the dev team, that's a huge achievement. That's a really, really big thing for us to have implemented because we know the token leveling system on many worlds is one of the most unique and coolest features of the project. And the applications of what you can do about leveled tokens is enormous, right? That can effectively replace Web 2 login, right? Because right now in the Web 2 world, you have to create, an email address, associate that email address with some sort of database, and then hope to God they don't lose your data, it doesn't get stolen, or they don't shut down for whatever reason, right? That's just someone on the other end could say, well, this email address no longer has access, right? In Web3 land, it's interesting to say, okay, well, if you own the token, then you have access to our site, right? That's token gating. That's not very unique. It's not very new, but it's an awesome idea, right? That's a great way to solve login from a Web3 perspective. Is you connect your wallet, and that is you indeed logging in. But what about a website that has premium membership? Or a website that, like the App Store, right? The Apple Store, where you have a bunch of different applications that are priced differently. You can't simply connect your wallet and know what apps you have access to if there's all different pricings or premium memberships or anything like that. With Many Worlds, you can. With Many Worlds, we can do that, right? Everyone that has level 1 tokens can have access to the website. But the premium membership would be level 2 tokens. This specific app would be level 3 tokens. So the leveling system is the heart and soul of the Many Worlds project. So this release of the distributor V2 has given us the flexibility and the scalability that is much, much needed for the leveling system to function properly as the ecosystem continues to expand. So I'm very excited for that to be releasing this week. I know for you all, it's probably not that big of a deal because you don't really get to see the implications of what that means. But from a back-end perspective, this is really, really good for us. I'll take care of another back-end development that has taken place, and that is our migration to Redis, which is a caching service. So anyone who has been playing in the beta, if you're using dev-dashboard, I'm sure you have noticed that now that chart and your data all loads near instantaneously. Whereas before you would have to wait for the chart to load, sometimes up to several minutes. That was the back end that was originally crafted and quickly rolled out at the original release of the project. But as we migrate to this new caching system, that means that if you want any sort of token data, whether we're using that inside of Discord bots, we're using it inside of apps, we're using it inside of wherever, that will be instant retrieval, which is, again, really exciting for us, but not so much from the front end user perspective. And a lot of that reason is, we know that the original team, a lot of those developers are no longer developers, right? They're helping out in some capacity or another. Some of them are completely gone. And we have this kind of hybrid new team that's long-term Many Worlds members, like members of the organization, but they weren't developers from the beginning. So there is this big rotation happening. And if this happened in a company like Microsoft or some sort of software development company, you're talking like a year or two transition. So we're moving very, very quickly from the back end perspective, and that's awesome. I had some really exciting news that I wanted to share today, but just found out it wasn't real. I got an email from Binance.us asking about a listing. But after digging in, it looked like the email may be spoofed. So we contacted Binance, and it turns out it was indeed fake. So that was an upsetting thing to see today because I was so excited to announce that we have begun the process of listing with Binance.us. All right, so
Could I add something? Because
yeah,
it. I don't think people really get it. People don't realize how many times we get contacted by these spoofers who are either posing as influencers in the NFT or token or crypto world, and we also get it from the exchange side. We're constantly feeding these proposals, and so often they're people who are just trying to scam. So guys, be vigilant out there first and foremost. If you're getting a message on the side, chances are it is a scam. But yeah, it's really frustrating that we get so many people reaching out, and then it just turns out to be another scammer. Really sucks.
yeah, it's like 1% of it all is legitimate, and some of these scammers are very, very clever. Like this Binance.us one, it survived most of my tools to let me know if this was fake or not. And even digging into the HTML, even Google thought that it was coming from an appropriate domain. But the actual context, the way they listed the message felt really fishy. And I don't mean fishy like FI, I mean PH type of phishing. It felt really fishy. So we contacted Binance.us directly. But we turned that into a conversation, right? So now Binance.us definitely knows our project exists and definitely knows we want to be listed with Binance. But that original offer was, a very clever scammer. So Matt's right. It is unfortunate. We get a lot of time is spent. Now, not from the dev team. Well, I guess we're all kind of the dev team, but a lot of time is spent just sifting through hundreds of offers, trying to figure out what the realest one is. It's kind of the reason I'm not active on Telegram anymore. I have now at this point over 1,000 DMs that are unopened, just from scammers. Maybe there's some real ones in there, and maybe one day we'll get to that. But for now, we continue building. So let's see. I want to talk about a few different things. Let's start from the legal side. Wow, actually, Matt, do you want to talk? I am getting a call, which is one of the calls I was waiting on before this AMA. Give me 1 second. Let me take it.
Sure. I'm not great at spitballing, but I'm going to chat away. So what I did want to chat about, and maybe if anybody wants to jump up on the stage, if you have any input, you can raise your hand, or you can ask some questions in the AMA chat. So we've been talking about the Many Worlds comic for a long time, since the inception of the project, and doing something. And as you guys probably know, I'm a bit of an artist. I'm working on my own passion in the art area. And one of the things that I wanted to do was create a bit of a short strip, a comic strip on the Many Worlds bits, and to kind of add a bit of color And it comes from the conversation that Human had with us on one of the AMAs talking about the bits and what the bits original lore was. So about, what a bit is, which, and if for those of you who don't, or might not have been on the call or didn't hear it, a bit is our, almost our avatar. And they were created to make the world easier for humans, not human, but humans. And I wanted to create some stories, some fun, maybe, comical kind of stories about the bits and an everyday job of a bit. So one of the bit stories that I came up with, and I'm going to share the very rough draft on it later tonight, is a 4 comic strip, basically outlining what an average day for a bit may look like. So it starts with scene 1 with Dad sitting on his royal throne, and he's realized he's run out of toilet paper. Who does he call on? Not the kids, but the bit. So he yells out to the wife in the house and says, "Hun, I need to get some toilet paper." She tells the bit, and the bit makes its grocery run to the
I am
grocery
back.
store. Welcome. Just about my comic strip idea. So yeah, the bit hears his order and he zooms off on the road towards the grocery store, and then the final scene is him trying to pick out which is the favorite toilet paper that Dad wanted the bit to grab from the from the grocery store. So funny little short bits like that can be easily illustrated. Anybody can come up with a very short story. So if you have a short story idea, then we can turn it into a comic format. And I would like to create a series of those for your so I can catch you up. Is my idea on the bit comic that I wanted to create was these short, very kind of funny, witty kind of comic strips where it's like the everyday life of a bit when humans are around. So the story is the dad needs toilet paper and he's sending the bit off to go and get the toilet paper, and you kind of get that experience of what a bit is about, and then maybe have like a comical kind of quip at the end of trying to pick out that
I love it.
toilet paper to save the day.
We should have a toilet paper store in the quantum realm that the bits just pop in. They go grab some toilet paper, step back out. That'd be really cool. I love that. Yeah, having like these fan-made comic, one-pagers will be fantastic because the marketplace. Well, you know what? Let me get to that when we talk about the marketplace update. You cool with me giving an update on the call I just had?
Yeah, go ahead.
Excellent. So that was Cloud. What they have told me is that the custodial banks changed some of the naming conventions on the paperwork, which means they're going to have to just resubmit that. But from a technical perspective, they should be good to shoot us the API keys tomorrow morning. Now, don't get too excited because this is not the first time I've heard this. I have heard this will be ready tomorrow for a lot of tomorrows. So don't get too excited yet, but hopefully tomorrow morning I do get API keys sent to my email, and then on our end we can start integrating that in and begin our live testing. So one way or the other, you will be getting an update from me tomorrow at some point regarding the on-ramp, and whether or not that's actually going to be happening this week. If it does happen, that's amazing, because then we have the on-ramp and the distributor V2 going out in the next week or two. From a front-end perspective, we are still definitely in need of front-end developers on team. The guys that are working on the front end right now, they were supposed to be done on the 20th. Today is the 31st, and I have just seen their very first commit. So even though we're really spread thin on our side, we're going to start taking on some front-end responsibility because this is just getting ridiculous. We don't want to do that. We know there's some people in the community we've been talking to, like Chewy Scripts. I saw you've been talking with Gustav, which is great. So hopefully we can get some more front-end support internally. That'll make a lot of stuff a lot better. But I do want to share a quick video because I'm sick of hiding stuff from you guys because the front end isn't done. So just know, right? Like this is without front end, but check this out. I'm putting it in the AMA chat. We basically have created DocuSign for blockchain, like for real. This works. This is very real. You can see this being utilized in this YouTube video. This is for two things. One, it's because we want blockchain DocuSign to be a very real thing. So what happens here is you as the user, you're going to list some sort of contractual agreement, right? Whether it's for an NFT or it's for, you just want to have an agreement with someone. You want someone to sign a lease, right? Yeah, many sign, right? That's a great name. Choose scripts. That's great, right? Many sign, right? It's like DocuSign, but it's many sign. This is friggin' real. I got goosebumps when this was actually built. I know it's not pretty. I know there's not front end, but it friggin' works. This is a very real contract that you can upload. All the data is obfuscated unless you have the private keys to access the contract. You can sign on the pad, and Party A and Party B have just created a real world document that can be retrieved from the blockchain. Incredible. Is there any way to notarize it? Absolutely. You can add notoriety to this functionality, right? So this is very, very real and very exciting. And it's a two-parter. Like I said, one, it's signature technology for being able to sign agreements or contracts or whatever you want, right? As someone who just wants to sign a document, you can now do that on chain. So say mortgage papers. Yes. Yes. Any sort of signatures you want, you can utilize the system that we're having. The other reason for it, as you'll see in the video example, is with our ongoing partnership with Penthouse Recording Studios. They want the capacity for you to be able to upload multiple different types. I said multiple different. Somebody slapped me. Multiple types of licenses. So let's say you want to release a song and you want someone to be able to purchase a license that gives them full rights for 3 months. Another license that gives them partial rights for a month or whatever it is, right? You have these different things you want to put out. Well, you can, when you mint the NFT, you can actually mint multiple copies. So you can say, okay, I'm going to do 10 copies of this song as a limited license for 3 months. I'm going to do 5 copies of just the guitar for a year-long lease on the guitar work. And I'm going to do this, whatever. You can do that. And from the buyer side, you're listening to the song. You're like, wow, this song is fire. I want to use this in my commercial. What type of licenses are available for this song on this marketplace? And you can go ahead and click it. You then input your real life information and you actually sign the agreement. It's a real legal document living on chain that only you and the person who listed, only the people on the actual contract will ever have real access to the contract. It exists on chain, so other people can go see the contract, but your name, your address, all the info, like all the private PPI, wait, not PPI, PII, all the PII, that will be obfuscated. It'll be blurred out. It'll be inaccessible. But if you are on the contract, right, then it's associated to your wallet address via the NFT ownership. So you're able to look at the contract in full. So if you ever needed to, for whatever reason, bring this up in court or bring this licensing somewhere, you don't got to go through your legal team. You don't got to go pull something out of your, I don't know, somewhere in your filing system on your desktop or in the real world. It's on chain. You literally connect your wallet to ManySign and you pull the document. That's it. I also want to add a feature. I say I, but it's we. We also want to add a feature that would allow you to just automatically forward this agreement to whoever it needs to belong to. So we're still working with legal on the e-signature part of it and how much that would hold up in court. Kind of the same things that DocuSign has to deal with. We're working through that. We're working through using actual documents. You can see in that video, it's just a PDF, right? It's just a fake PDF that we're using for testing purposes. But from a functionality perspective, it's very real, which is very exciting. So I'm super excited about that. Come next week, we will also potentially, I don't want to overpromise, but because we're deciding to take on some of the reins for some of the front end work, we will potentially have some screenshots for you all about what the marketplace is going to actually look like. This is something that front end team should have had done weeks ago, actually months ago at this stage, which is incredibly frustrating to think about, but it's the reality of the situation. So because we're taking over some of that, we are going to be able to show you guys some updates from a front end perspective. So that is the marketplace updates. You can see in the video, and anyone who's on the beta testing, if you're connecting to Binance testnet, that's where it's living right now. You can see some of the other features we're working on. Currently, we're building out the auction side of the house, so being able to put up for auctions and stuff like that. And yeah, once this gets prettied, which is the last remaining component for a lot of this, once this is pretty, I'm going to take it back to Penthouse Recording Studios. I'm going to show it to the owner of the studio and say, hey, look what we have so far. And then we can start moving forward in that partnership and doing some more things aside from him just listing some of his label songs. So really exciting stuff. A lot of cool stuff is happening. We're definitely in the right space. There's a lot of news starting to circulate about NFT record labels and how NFTs are the future of music. And really NFTs in general, right? The narrative is starting to change about NFTs, which thank God. I am sick of the narrative of NFTs make crypto look bad. No, NFTs are one of the most powerful technologies in this space. They're just not being used right now. They're not being used. They're being used for art, and art's great. Art is fantastic. I love art. You know, I'm all about art and music, and that's awesome. But there is so much utility to be built in terms of ownership, chain of custody, you know, legal ownership in the real world, right? And in every industry, from real estate to medical records to whatever, right? There's an incredible amount to be done with NFTs. So we're definitely in the right place at the right time. The last thing we really need to work on, which I have the follow-up meeting with the legal team Thursday at 10 a.m., and I'll be sure to update you guys as soon as that's done. That should be the final call before we start actually making the moves that need to be made to make our organization an officially registered organization that complies with all the necessary rules and regulations. One of the biggest speed bumps that we have right now is the rewards. The rewards are seriously complicated for a few reasons. One, if you're talking from a tax perspective, well, in crypto, nobody knows who you are. So if you're issuing payments to people, you know, the IRS, or even forget about the United States, whatever country you're from wants to make sure they're getting their taxes. So it's a little difficult to say, yeah, we send money to people we have no idea who they are. That's your problem. Two, if we're handing out money based on income from lines of service, it becomes a little convoluted and a little, it's an interesting time. I'll put it that way. It's an interesting time because crypto just doesn't quite fit any existing definition completely. We're trying to figure out what that definition is. And based on what Many Worlds has always been and will always be, is we are an organization akin to a club, right? There's right now, I'd say I'm fulfilling the role of the president of the club, right? I'm the president, I'm the chairman, whatever it may be. Gustav is like, he's basically the chair of development. I'd say Hibiscus is basically, you know, the chair of social and philanthropy. Matt is the community chair, right? We're all like filling these chair positions. So as soon as that is in a legal framework, there's a few things that are going to happen. I'm glad we got more votes on the DAO vote than I was expecting in these early days. So that was really, really cool to see that many people actually go and vote. There's going to be a big series of votes that will be happening as soon as the legal side is done. It's going to start right away with voting in these chair positions, right? There's going to be different chair positions like the president or chairman or whatever, all these different chair positions, and we're going to have to nominate and vote people into that position. As soon as we have everybody nominated and voted into their appropriate positions, we'll then present the constitution for the organization, and that is going to be painful, I promise. Because we will have to go line by line. It's going to be a very big document, and there's going to be a lot of different rules about the constitution or about the organization and how we operate. And we're going to have to go line by line and vote on most of it. We can probably, to save time, we can probably just have an internal system where we say something like, if there is no opposition, then the vote automatically passes in favor of that line. So we'll only take votes if somebody stands up and says, wait, I have a problem with that line. Here's my issue. Then we can go into discussion, conduct the vote. Once the Constitution is done and we have elected members, then we can start doing some really serious real world things, right? Because right now we're not real. We're a crypto project trying to figure out how to become real. So once we're real and we can make these real world, even our partnership with Cloud Payments, that's such a weird setup because Many Worlds isn't a real existing kind of entity, right? It's a DAO that's we registered one in Wyoming. We did register a Wyoming DAO for Many Worlds, but I don't think that a DAO LLC is the appropriate structure for what we're making here. So that's part of that process too. If you've been monitoring the news lately, you could see Pool Together. They just got a lawsuit for basically having a daily lottery. One of the participants of the daily lottery sued them, and then Pool Together went and raised another $830,000 to pay for their legal defense against the lawsuit. And that's incredibly interesting because they basically raised money in potentially a non-legal manner to defend themselves against something that's potentially illegal. It's a weird time. It's a very weird, unclear time trying to get crypto into the appropriate places. So, sorry, kind of going off on a bit of a tangent there, but it is important for everyone to understand everything that we're working on. You'll always get full honesty and transparency here. So that legal conversation I have Thursday, we'll get some updated stuff there. Now I'm going to say something that you guys are probably going to absolutely hate, but we're building for the long term, and we will put this to a vote. But we've always talked about lowering the taxes over time and just having the rewards be based off of, different lines of service and different things that we create as an organization. We may want to pull the trigger on that sooner rather than later for two reasons. The first reason is it's kind of unclear where a tax-based system fits from a legal perspective. Trying to make it fit somewhere is proving difficult, although not impossible. It's proving difficult, and it's causing a lot of back-end work that almost seems unnecessary. The second reason is we have had to turn down, now at this stage, 3 different listing offers because we're a tax-based token, and tax-based tokens are not supported on those exchanges. So having taxes does not seem to be very coherent to the future of the project. It was a good idea initially, right? Have these tax systems to kind of keep the flow of rewards going and fund the operations wallet so that we can keep doing things. But I think it makes more sense to move into the lines of service are what are providing the rewards sooner rather than later. And truthfully, our volume is basically non-existent. So, when the marketplace is up and running, I imagine, rewards will be much loftier from the use of the marketplace than they ever would have been from taxes in the first place. So, yeah, reducing the taxes to zero is likely going to be a vote that will be pushed in the coming weeks. So just give it some thought. Give it some thought about where you sit on that, where you think we should head. But I've given you the reason as to why it's even going to be a proposal. Okay, so that's pretty much it from the legal side. That is where most of my time is spent. I want to make sure that we survive regulation. That's my one and only mission. I talked about the back end work that we've done, which is fantastic. The marketplace is coming along very nicely. Again, we could already be doing the open beta right now. We are. The beta is going right now. It's just there's really no front end. It exists there for testing. So anyone who is doing the beta, you can go list and mint NFTs and play with different things. But I'd like to have an open beta going that's pretty. So we'll start working towards that. So marketplace, talked about the partnership with the recording studio and how that's going. Oh, right. I did say that I was going to have, some bigger news for this AMA. I think putting forward that DocuSign thing is definitely really cool. But I do want to be clear. The bigger news that I wanted to list is what I talked about. Leading up to Memorial Day weekend, I got a lot of emails from these third-party people we're working with talking about how things are going to be ready to go as soon as Memorial Day is over. And then that didn't happen. So I'm going to stop being the boy who cried wolf for the third-party things, and I'm going to primarily focus on the things that we are working on in-house for each AMA from now on, because I don't want to get everybody excited or talk about all these things, and I don't want anyone ever thinking that I'm making promises that we're not delivering on. It's a waiting game. So I think that about summarizes where we are at. So just a quick summary there before we hop into questions. Next legal meeting is Thursday at 10 o'clock. We'll go ahead and see what's going to happen there. Front end work we've started doing ourselves, even though we are spread incredibly thin. Something needs to happen because I'm sick of waiting. We have a lot of cool features on the marketplace, like basically the DocuSign of blockchain right now, which is friggin' amazing. I can't wait to use that in bigger spots. Distributor V2 is going out on Thursday, and the backend migration to Redis is underway. We have a few bugs that we're dealing with there that's really causing a headache, but that's underway. So you can already see the effects of that if you connect to Dev Dashboard. For all you beta testers, you can see how much faster things are already. So yeah, I think we can hop into questions. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. You know what? I'll scroll up and look at the questions first, and then if anybody wants to raise their hand that didn't get answered. Hi, everyone in a meeting day job. Yep. Luckbox is out to meetings. working hard at adding leveling to the voting mix. Yeah, that's part of what I was talking about. Adding leveling to the voting mix comes from that infrastructure rebuild we were talking about. So that way we can quickly retrieve that data and assign different levels to different structures. Beyond voting too, got some seriously clever ideas about how to use the levels. Any news on the record company? Just did an update on that. It's basically the same stage as where we're at. We're still just having a chat. We're showing them all the stuff that we're building on this marketplace and functionality that would do well in the music industry. And once the front end open beta is live, then they will list their own songs to kind of visually see what we're talking about. Because when we say, on-chain legal documents stored on IPFS, that means nothing to these guys, right? They have no idea what we're talking about. So once the open beta starts, they're actually going to list their songs for sale on the marketplace. And that's going to be the real beginning of the conversations with Penthouse Recording Studios. One thing is certain, they want to work with us for eternity. They love us. They love what we're doing. They love how open we are. So we're definitely working together. They just need to see what it actually means to have an on-chain record label and having music on-chain. And that comes when the open beta starts, which Walter is actually going to help us with, which is amazing because he's already done so much work and so much incredible development. And he comes from a front-end background initially. And then Chewy Scripts, we're excited to talk to you more, bud, about all that. We're going to see what you're made of, what kind of skills you have, and see if we can't get you started helping us out on the front end as well. Out of curiosity, with the connecting of wallet, is there a way to make it more secure by incorporating Authy two-step? Yes, absolutely. And I think that should be something that we implement. So I'm actually going to add that to the team wiki and put that in in the backlog. So we will add a two-step authentication because I agree. Being able to connect your wallet, that's pretty secure in itself. But if you ever lose access to your wallet, you're kind of boned, even with two-step, right? The only thing you could do, they won't be able to access any of the stuff on that D app, but they also have your wallet. So that wallet's pretty much dead in the water the moment it's compromised. But I'm never opposed to more layers of security. And Matt, for those who haven't had beta access, you can shoot a message to him or Luckbox. Yeah, absolutely. If you want access to the beta testing, you could see real time the back end work that we're doing. You're not going to see any front end work right now. And then, of course, if you have any questions or suggestions, go ahead and shoot them our way. If they're front end suggestions, they'll make their way to the backlog. But again, I can't wait for you guys to see the front end. Like, I can't wait because the design is there already. That's done. I'll stop talking about that because I think you're going to see updates on that in about a week or so, at least screenshots of what it's going to look like as we continue building functionality. I sent the video. Many sign. Is there a way to notarize it? Yes, there will be. So say mortgage papers. Absolutely. Low key, I want to prettify it when I'm off this train. Absolutely. So dates, license expiration can be added. Yes, they can. Well, no, they can't. Not yet. But that is on the list of features to be implemented. So yes, dates and license expiration already exists. You can set a 3-month license. And after 3 months, effectively, that NFT will blacklist. So if you tried to use that NFT anywhere, you wouldn't be able to, even in our player, right? Because I told you guys we're building a player inside of the marketplace. So that way, if there's a PDF or a song or a GIF or whatever it is, GIF, whatever, whatever's living inside of your wallet, there will be a player inside of the marketplace that allows you to view that. So when the license expires, if that's all you purchased, you didn't actually purchase the song, you just purchased the licensing, then one, it wouldn't play anywhere. You wouldn't be able to just download and pull it. And two, it would be blacklisted, meaning it can't be transferred or moved from your wallet or used in any way, shape, or form. That's basically how expiration is being handled right now. we're playing with a few ideas for a more clever way to handle that, but that's the solution right now. God depth to client, what lines of service will be flowing? So the only line of service right now will be the marketplace. But if you're talking from a revenue perspective, that comes from a few things. One, advertising space, right? If there's projects that want to advertise themselves, we would allow advertising space in the marketplace, so that way they can try to promote their project and get more eyes on their work. Two, the actual sale of anything flows back into the rewards and the DAO wallet. Three, the DocuSign type of feature, ManySign, right? I kind of like ManySign the more we talk about it. But ManySign, right? That can be its service completely on its own. If you're not even listing NFTs, you're doing nothing with actual NFT like art or music or anything like that, you just want to list documents, we could have a very similar business model to DocuSign. And then, of course, our own Many Worlds catalog, which will have Many Worlds art, the Many Worlds comic books, and then artists, any sort of fan-made art. Many World. If fans, there's basically two ways fan-made art's going to work. If the art is something that the DAO believes should belong to Many Worlds, like the IP should be owned by Many Worlds, then Many Worlds would list that on their own. I say our on our own catalog. But let's say that the DAO decides that piece of art doesn't quite fit the Many Worlds IP. It's definitely fan art. Then it would be the opposite, where the ownership belongs to the artist, but Many Worlds collects a royalty on it because it was inspired by the Many Worlds art. So yeah, that's kind of the way that would work. Could the use of taxes retrospectively cause legal problems? I don't think so. That's part of the legal discussion right now, is anything retrospective, right? Not just the taxes, but anything we've done up to this point. Could that cause legal issues? I really hope not. But that is part of the discussion right now, is there any sort of way that we maybe did something, we didn't realize it was wrong, and now we're retrospectively getting punished for it? That is part of the discussion and part of moving forward with all this. So great question. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer, and I wish I did, because I would sleep easier at night if I did. Any other questions?
I saw Zanga Banga has been typing, so he might have coming up. I don't have any questions. I think you've covered everything.
Oh yeah, let me do so. The tattoo, right? Sorry, I'm juggling so much right now. I have not even begun looking for artists in New York to do the tattoo. So I am sorry about that. I promise it's happening. It's just very crazy times trying to get all of this sorted right now. So I promise that's coming, but I haven't even looked at tattoo artists yet. Like I haven't called a single one. I haven't done anything with that yet. If anyone does know any New York-based tattoo artists that you want to recommend, by all means, it'd be a great starting point. If not, I think next week will be a little bit cleaner than this week, so I can start searching around for that. I don't think anything else is missing there. You can call me DZ. All right, DZ. Hey guys, I'm stuck with Binance Chain Wallet, browser-based, with a lot of old Many in there. Okay, so like high level, is there a way to use the D app and to vote with Binance Chain Wallet? Should I continue to use MetaMask from now on? Yeah, I am also not familiar with that wallet. I'd keep using MetaMask. This is something that I do want to discuss as we continue growing the project, and this type of discussion will likely take place in a more formal setting as we finalize the organization to be, an actual organization, and talking about the transfer of tokens. Because right now, if you transfer tokens, their levels are reset, and that's to prevent, anyone from trying to game the game in terms of, the taxes, which we may be removing anyways, or if a wallet's compromised and someone could just send, very valuable tokens to their own wallet. So that was a safeguard that may no longer be necessary, although that is that's on contract. So how we'll change that will have to be a discussion that we open up to the DAO when it comes to that. Sorry, Lost Wi-Fi. Did you discuss if we could sell other kinds of products on the marketplace? Yeah. Pretty much any file type you can imagine will exist on the marketplace. In fact, because we want to integrate with the real world so much, we're hoping. I don't want to overpromise everything that we're working towards, because it's a lot, right? We're working on a lot of different things all at the same time. But one of the items in the backlog is to be able to sell real world items similar to Shopify or Amazon, where you can sell real world products in exchange for crypto, and not just NFTs. But in terms of NFTs, that's certainly where we're starting, right? But it's not just one file type. It's GIFs, JPEGs, PNGs, PDFs, music, MP3s, everything. Every file type that you can imagine, we have compatibility for. So you'll be able to list just about anything for sale as an NFT. But as the project evolves, the idea is to make it a marketplace for far more than just NFTs. NFTs will be the core of it, right? And using that technology in smart ways. Who knows, man? Like the Many Worlds marketplace, you might see real estate being sold in terms of NFTs on there one day, right? Because the functionality we just built with this DocuSign thing was the most important feature. That was the most important feature that gives us access to the real world. So it's very possible that you can list a home for sale, and the title and the mortgage, whoever owns the mortgage or the title, those are simply NFTs that you can sign for on the marketplace, and you could purchase a home right then and there, right? There's it's almost unlimited what can be sold on this marketplace because of this technology we just created. Very bright future for what type of products can exist on this marketplace. But mind you, that is the future when I say that. In the early days, it's going to be NFTs in terms of music, art, the classic NFT marketplace that everybody and their mother is building right now. But the technology that we're building and have built, like illustrated in that video I linked to, that's going to provide us with the capacity to do far, far more. Integration into the real world is extremely important. But the real world is far more complicated than crypto, and it runs far slower than crypto. So we're working on it, and we're doing all we can, So I think come next week, come the next AMA, if I'm saying the same thing that we're still waiting on people, it's probably time to find new people, to be honest. So the next AMA, if I don't have updates that are real, tangible updates about the work that has been done outside of what we're doing, I'll keep showing you guys the work we're doing. We're working nonstop. That's why the distributor's going live. That's why we have this DocuSign type of feature. All that's happening. But if the next AMA comes and I'm still talking about how we're waiting on other people, we're going to have to go to a DAO vote and talk about getting different people, because that's going to be ridiculous at that stage. And I no longer want to put the Many Worlds organization, us, our name on the line by talking about all the things we want to do, and it's just not done yet. So, yeah. Next AMA, either be prepared for some updates or be prepared for a DAO vote about working with folks that are going to, get us what we need in a timely manner. So any other, there's some typing going on. Anything you could sell online could be sold. Exactly. We'll update my web apps to 2022 health so I can publish to the many marketplace. Hell yeah. And we'll have to talk about that. I actually have a completely different idea that will live inside of the marketplace in terms of web applications that's actually tied to the leveling system. So instead of saying, okay, you can use, I have a web app game, right? Let's say you have a game that you want to sell online, right? Instead of saying, okay, you can purchase my game for $4.99, you would set a level threshold. Say, okay, anybody with level 4 tokens has access to this game listed on the marketplace. And you would be compensated by the amount of people that are playing your game or utilizing your app. The only problem with that is there's nothing in that system preventing someone from just botting it the hell up and getting, 100 million uses of their application. So there are some holes in that system, but if we crack that system too, then my God, the Many Worlds ecosystem is doing all sorts of things that just aren't being done, which is really, really cool. So being able to have a functional leveling system that grants you access to applications and compensates the creator based on the usage of those levels, that's a really, really cool concept. But it is just a concept at this stage with a lot of holes. So we have to plug a lot of that. After creation, please, could we redirect to my collections page? Yeah, we can. That's front end. You know what, Chewy? We'll talk, because just ignore everything front end. Pretend that front end literally just exists for us to test the back end. So yeah, all those suggestions, things like that, bring it when we start getting you involved, because we'll just keep adding stuff like that to the backlog. I'm telling you, when you guys see, Matt just saw it. Matt just saw the initial stages of the front end. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's really cool. It has a lot of really cool features. So when you guys see how different the front end is when that starts coming live, you'll see what I mean. Everyone's suggestions are going to change a lot.
Yeah, I have to totally agree. I sneaked in there and I was blown away when I saw what the first view looked like. I was like, is this even our website? It's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely sick. I am really excited for that. So we'll be able to show that more. We'll definitely be able to show that in the next AMA. I'm hoping, though, that we'll be able to show some of that next week before the next AMA. I have one more question. How solid is the looks of the bits? Look, this is our project. This is not mine. This is our project. I am just the quasi-elected official that represents the project as the front man. So the solid look of the bits, that is not up to me. You are welcome to design and do whatever the hell you guys want under the Many Worlds brand. However, when you do it, you need to submit it to the DAO. So absolutely feel free to create a 3D model of a bit. That would be amazing. And then if we want to implement that as an official Many Worlds design, that would go to DAO vote, just like the updated brand book did. So yeah, you guys are more than welcome to build anything and everything. You can build your own apps altogether. If you're a web developer, you can absolutely use the Many Worlds brand book and create a completely separate application that has nothing to do with what we're currently working on, because you just want to build a cool Web3 app. And then you would submit that to the DAO, and then we can either accept or deny that as an organization into the official ecosystem. When first 200 bits? As soon as the marketplace goes live. As soon as the marketplace goes live, we'll be getting out the first 100 and the second wave NFTs as the first bits first bits of the Many Worlds catalog. Terry Crews is probably a ways away. A lot of the celebrities that we have, the kind of silver bullets, if you will, they're not going to move on anything until there's something. So once we get this open beta rolling, that's when those conversations will likely begin. They'll likely begin. So it's going to be a very exciting rest of the year as we continue development, continue working towards these things. And the more people from the community that are participating, the better it is. It really is that simple. My main focus, as it has been since we launched, I have been focused on the legal and regulatory implications. So that has been my one and only goal from the beginning. And it looks like we are finally coming to a conclusion with that discussion, which is very exciting. And I can't tell you what a game changer that will be right now, because think of it from my perspective, right? I'm completely doxxed. I've been on the news about this. God forbid there is something that isn't kosher that we've done, even by accident. That's likely going to fall on myself. And that's a scary place to be in these times, right? The last thing I want is a surprise message from the SEC or from some sort of regulatory body fining me personally, being, the one who kind of led the project from the beginning. So until that is handled, I am very much foot is on the brake. My foot is not on the gas, right? Until that is handled, my foot will remain on the brake and just worry about development, building things until that is covered. And I know that what we're doing is okay. So once we get that all clear, go ahead, this is okay, we're going to have a very dramatic shift in the way we're doing things. So yeah, all great questions. I just wanted to let you guys know and clarify that has to be the highest priority for us as a project, not just for my personal liability on it all, but us as a project. Like it would suck for us to start making headway and then we find out that Regulation 107D, on page 4098 of the government's handbook was violated. That would suck. So until we're in this weird place of we exist and we're building things, but we're not real until those documents are unreal and it's on paper what we are and how we are defined from the perspective of the law, right? We need to be able to talk, because you talk about a company, it's very easy. Oh, that's an LLC. Oh, that's a corporation. Oh, that's a PLLC. Right? It's very easy when you're talking about companies. When you're talking about crypto projects, it's a lot more complicated to say, oh, that's a crypto project. But what is that? What does that mean? And that makes it very difficult, not only from a marketing perspective, but from the perspective of if we were to grow at a quick rate and we didn't have that infrastructure, it could open us up to something none of us want. So I am very excited for that meeting Thursday. Hopefully that begins the process of finalizing the rest of this, and then we can have a nice dramatic shift in the way we're operating things. Okay, I have talked a lot. I feel bad because I feel like the AMAs have just largely been the same. Showing you guys what we're working on, but it's like, man, I can't express enough. We're only working on back-end stuff because that's the only thing we have control over right now. It's just a giant waiting game with real-world integration. It's a giant waiting game. So if there are any other questions, I'll gladly take them. I appreciate, everyone's support up to this point. I love what we're doing as an organization. I think we're making really big waves. Like I've been in Forbes at this point now. That's crazy. It's cool. It's really cool, the stuff we're building and the uniqueness we're bringing to the space. But man, just that legal side, that's really it. That is the biggest missing component for us to really turn up the heat. So if you have any other questions, I'll gladly take them. If not, I always appreciate everyone's continual support. It's very exciting. Very exciting times. Oh, one more thing, actually. Don't be afraid to publicly discuss all of this stuff, right? In Gen Chat. That's the point, right? Being a DAO, the point is it's crowdsourcing. That's the most powerful tool we have as an organization, is being able to work together as an organization to find faster, more efficient ways to achieve the things that we're all trying to achieve. In fact, as a DAO, if you think that our roadmap or our focus should shift towards something else during these waiting periods, that's okay. You can propose that. Just bring it up, the more conversations we're having about the actual organization, treat Many Worlds like it's a club, right? That's the best way to explain it. Treat it like it's a club. You're a member of this club. It's a private club that you need tokens to be able to be a member in. And the club grows because of the members. So feel free to have those conversations about, different things we could be doing, different things that maybe you found that could improve what we're working on, or whatever skill sets you have that you can offer for the club to grow it out. So, yeah. All right, that's it for real.
I just dropped a question in Gen Chat as well. So, guys, feel free to tag anybody in there, and let's get that conversation off and see if, how people feel about certain things that Human talked about today. For example, dropping the taxes on the entry and the exit.
Yeah, I want to be Chris. I know the DAO system, we always talked about being a DAO from the beginning, and that's now finally really starting to happen. And soon enough, we'll have our own DAO smart contract instead of using Snapshot, so it could be more catered to our organization's needs. But the conversation, those can absolutely be happening already. When I say something like the tax system, right? That's not us saying the dev team is thinking about dropping the tax system. That's us saying we're potentially going to propose that it gets dropped, and here's the reasons why. But absolutely, you can disagree. You can think up a different way to do things, and we can discuss that as an organization. And that's why organizations like this become, you look at fraternities, for example, they do incredibly well for themselves. And the reason for that is participation from the members of the fraternity that are working towards growing that organization. So start getting into the habit of that, talking about these things, having conversations about these things, because we're slowly but surely getting to the point where there is almost never going to be just decisions just made at the dev level, right? Nearly everything that is a decision, other than the day-to-day, that's really what the chair positions exist for. They exist to manage the day-to-day. But when it comes to any changes or new features or implementation of anything, that will always be a DAO vote. So just start getting used to having those conversations as we continue building out these systems. Yeah, a better place to have that. Yeah, right. I said Gen Chat, but we should use the DAO discussion. I don't know if that's open yet. But yeah, people have been chatting in there. I've been chatting in there. What am I talking about? So that is open. So DAO discussion, you can take that chat outside of Gen Chat and put it in there. Really, the DAO discussion channel is meant for discussing an existing proposal. but I'm more than happy to see it being utilized, for just overall general DAO discussion. I'm okay with that.
And it wouldn't hurt to have more conversation happening in general chat anyways. So, for the time being, I think we could use general chat to spur on conversations even from people who aren't holders of many to see, the open Discord we kind of have. Interesting. But yeah.
Yeah. Cool. If there's no other questions, that about wraps it up for me. Should I do one more recap, or would that be too much?
I think 3 recaps is enough, is more than, or 2 is more than plenty. So we can wrap up. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you all for everything you do. If the next AMA comes and I'm basically saying the same thing that we're waiting, it's time for the DAO to speak up and say, all right, Human, let's stop waiting. Let's look into other options. I hope that's not the case. By the way, this week is planned so far with all the meetings I have and the phone call I just had. It doesn't look like that will be the case, but enough is enough. So let's see where we're at by the next AMA. There should absolutely be pretty big announcements, so I wouldn't miss that one. And if there isn't, then it's time to shake stuff up.
Right on.
Awesome. All right. Yep. If you guys need me for anything, absolutely, you can ping me anytime. I'll do my best to get to you as quickly as possible. Quick reminder of who to talk to about what. If you're trying to do something on the dev level, you could talk to, Luckbox or Gustav. If you're trying to talk something on the DAO level, you can talk anywhere because you are a member of it. But if you're trying to suggest something for the DAO system, that would be Luckbox. Anything from the marketing community, the fan art, like the comic book side, that's all going to be Matt. If you have any social media, any of our socials or our outward presence, that'll either be Matt or Hibiscus. Anything for Discord, that's going to be Diablo or Nacho. And that's it. I think that's it. Did I miss anyone?
I think you got it all.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Thank you all very much. Much love. Have a great rest of your day. TTQ for all our folks out there. Have a good Jubilee. And I'm looking forward to the next AMA.
Yeah. The next AMA, before I forget, will be 2 weeks' time on our usual date of Monday, the 7th of June. And thanks to everybody for jumping in. Thanks again. A big thank you to Human and the dev team and all of the hard work you guys are putting in the background. Again, if anybody wants to visit our website, it's www.manyworldstoken.com. And our Discord is discord.gg/manyworldstoken. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. And if you're new to it, come by, jump in, and say hello. Thanks again, everybody. See you soon.